Hi there. Thank you to everybody who sent in questions for the Q&A. I'm going to be answering those to the best of my ability. Some of the questions are serious, some not so serious, and none of the answers have been rehearsed, as will become abundantly clear as the video progresses. So without any further ado, let's get to the first question. Did you base any of the characters in your trilogy on any of your family members? And if so, can you spill the beans on who? Well, no. I didn't base any specific character on any specific family member. You write what you know, and there are elements to all the characters that are autobiographical in nature, and obviously your persona comes from the people you grow up with, the people you surround yourself with, the experiences you have. So there are going to be elements in there that are very familiar to the people who know me. But then again, there are going to be elements of the characters' personalities that everybody will be familiar with. They probably all experience some of those emotions and some of those impulses. But to answer the question, no, there is nobody specifically who any of the characters are based on. Did you purposefully make Mike's birthday the same as my granddad's? That's from my little cousin. No, I didn't. That's pure coincidence, but a very happy coincidence. It just worked out that way. Who is your favourite writer? Okay, my favourite writer is a chap called Robert McCammon. He wrote Swan Song, Baal, Stinger, Usher's Passing. He's a phenomenal writer. He does things with the language that just blow my mind. Almost poetic sometimes, and he can be talking about the most mundane thing, but he just has this ability to make the mundane incredible. He's a wonderful, wonderful writer. If you've never read anything by him, I urge you to. I mean, Swan Song is classic post-apocalyptic. It's not zombies, but I mean, it is one of the best post-apocalyptic books you will ever read. So if you fancy giving him a go, that wouldn't be a bad way to start. What books did you like to read when you were younger? Well, I'm ashamed to say I didn't actually read when I was younger, and I regret it now horrifically. But when I was younger, I didn't really read much. I read what I was required to at school, but I didn't read for pleasure. I had a great English teacher when I was doing my O-levels, and he pointed me in the direction of Beowulf and Brave New World and 1984, and I really, really enjoyed reading those. But I was more into film when I was younger, and I enjoyed playing out with my mates and things like that. Used to play cricket practically every day after school in summer, but I wasn't a big reader. I became a very big reader, making up for lost time later on in life. Okay, I'll ignore Alina's question about what colour the kitchen will be. The kitchen has now been put. Anybody who is interested in the saga of the kitchen, it seems some people are. The kitchen is blue, to answer one of the questions. What type of blue, I have no idea. It was the pot that I was given, and I painted the kitchen. The kitchen has been painted. It's blue. Everybody seems happy. If you're not, please contact Tina. I'm sure she'd be interested. So yeah, to answer Alina's question, the kitchen is blue. Tim, with the ocean so close to you, do you do any fishing? It's good thinking. It's good for thinking on plot lines. Well, I'm vegan, so I don't actually fish, but I love the idea of being in a boat out in the water and not having contact with anybody. I've seen all the films where they go fishing in early morning and they're just in the middle of a lake in a little rowing boat with their fishing rods over the side, and I really like the idea of the peace and tranquility of it, and I'm sure it would be brilliant for for thinking of plot lines, but it's not actually something I do. Maybe one day I'll get in a boat and just go and sit in the water and not fish. That might be enjoyable. But to answer your question, no, I don't, mate. Pam, does your upbringing influence your writing? Well, this goes back to what I was saying about family members. I mean, you do write what you know, so whatever your upbringing was, it's something that builds your personality, it builds your life experience, and so you are going to either consciously or subconsciously refer to that when you are writing. So yes, my upbringing did influence my writing. You have a very supportive wife. Yes, I do. So when you have writer's block, do you bounce ideas off her? I don't really suffer from writer's block. I'm very lucky. I don't tend to suffer from it. I don't bounce ideas off Tina. She's a beta reader for me. She's one of the first people who sees anything that I've completed. In fact, she's the first person who sees anything I've completed. And she's got a very, very good eye, and she's not worried about saying something that will hurt my feelings. That sounds terrible, but she's very truthful. She's very honest about anything, which is exactly what you need. And I remember the first time I gave her the completed manuscript for Safe Haven, and she loved it, but there were sections that she really didn't like, and it was the first criticism I'd ever had for anything that I'd written. Well, it was the first thing I'd ever written in its entirety and seen right through, and there were parts of it that she really didn't like, and it was devastating to hear. But the thing is, now, after writing Safe Haven, you realize that writing is a process, and producing the manuscript's only part of that process, and there are lots of revisions that have to take place. There are lots of edits. You have to do a lot with a manuscript once you think you've completed it before it is actually completed. And Tina's fantastic for that. You know, she'll put her opinion forward, and sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't agree, but it's very good to get a different perspective. But as far as writer's block goes, I don't really get writer's block. If I'm stuck for an idea, then I just go on to write something else. It might be I might skip a chapter and write something later in the story. I might go and write a short story. I might go and write a letter to my uncle. I don't know. It's just I keep writing until the right thing shows up. What age did you realise you wanted to write, and how did you prepare to follow this gift? Well, originally I never thought about being a fiction writer. I always wanted to be a music journalist, and when I was probably 14 or 15, I thought about pursuing this professionally. Music has always been a huge part of my life. Right from being young, I used to spend all my money on records and then CDs, and right through doing my O levels and all that kind of thing, I was looking at going to the London College of Printing and a periodical journalism course. I ended up not going there. I went straight out to work, but through my O levels and in the sixth form, I produced a music fanzine, and I wrote for a few other music fanzines and did a little bit of magazine writing, but I never pursued it professionally. How many books will there be in the Safe Haven series? Have you had any thoughts of what you're going to write after you finish the series? That's a really good question, actually, or two really good questions. Originally, Safe Haven was going to be a trilogy, and that was going to be the end of it. It's called the Safe Haven trilogy. But when I started, I had a definite beginning in mind, not such a definite end, but I could see me writing an end by the third book. The way the characters are developing and the way new characters are coming into the story, I may actually do something else with it. This trilogy, the Safe Haven trilogy, is going to tell a definite story. There will be a definite end to this part of the story. Whether that's an end to the characters or not, I don't know. I don't think it will be, in actual fact. What prompted me thinking this way? I've got a short story that's appearing in an anthology later on in the year, the Reanimated Writers Anthology, and that's about Lucy, one of the main characters in Safe Haven, and it's kind of a prequel story. It's just short, just a few thousand words, but it made me realise that these characters actually have legs. They could actually carry on for quite some time, and I really enjoy writing them. I really enjoy writing them. The more I write them, the more I enjoy it. So the Safe Haven trilogy will tell a story. It will be an episode in the post-apocalyptic life that these people have. Whether it's the end of them, I don't know at the moment. I doubt it, in actual fact. But as far as definite ideas go, I've not really pursued storylines and that kind of thing. But to answer your question, kind of stutteringly, I don't think we've seen the last of Mike, Emma, Lucy, and the rest of them. As far as other things go, I do actually have some outstanding stuff that I'd like to complete. I did a film script a few years back, and I wanted to do a novelization of that, and I started a thriller, and I want to finish that as well. What comes first, I honestly don't know at this stage. I've got to complete Safe Haven first. I'm a good way through Safe Haven 3, but there are things that I want to change a little. There are lots of surprises in there. There are some new characters. There are some interesting plot twists. So let me get that out of the way first, and then I'll figure out what's going on after that. If you would have to choose between killing Bart or Lisa, who would you take? That's that's a good question. I would probably have to kill Bart if I had to kill anybody. Lisa conceivably could save the world one day, but probably not. So it would be a tough choice. And if I had to make that choice, it would be Bart. And finally, if you could only take one book and all others had to go except any religious book you may have, what book would it be and why? Well, my favourite book ever is Swan Song by Robert McCammon. There is so much in that book. It was the first book that ever made me cry. I was sobbing like a little girl at parts of that book. It's exciting, it's tense, it's emotive, it's powerful, it's everything that you would want a book to be. It's just the most amazing book, and it's one that I could read again and again and again. So, without shadow of a doubt, Swan Song by Robert McCammon. And that is the end of the questions. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. And once again, thank you for everybody who has sent the question in. And I hope to see you again soon. Take care.